Hi everyone, I'm JD from Willow Journals. Welcome back to my channel. I'm a journaler, journal maker and teacher of journaling courses, also a writer and an artist. And I'm continuing this series where I'm sharing a bit more in a podcast style my journey studying art therapy. And so in this video, I'm just going to loop the background again, and it's just me working in my Daffy's Diary planner. And I'm using this planner to record all of my assignment dates for the course, lecture times, textbooks, and doing a bit of note-taking as well. So this last week, we had our orientation week, and so there were a lot of different sessions that we had and met lots of different people and lots and lots of information to take in. And so I'm just rewriting my notes from those orientation sessions. And as I write them down, I thought I'd share with you some of the best things that I got from that session or that whole orientation week. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this more podcast style episode. And then I also have a deeper version of this, or where I go into some exercises and more details and the interview process that happened for this course. And that will be over on my Patreon if you want to check out that video, but I'll talk more about that at the end of this video. Alright, so first of all, I am studying a Bachelor of Art Therapy or Art Therapy at Icon Institute, and their little motto or catchphrase or tagline is changing the world by changing minds. So I love that already. I love the idea of our minds being changed and challenged and having a different perspective, learning new perspectives, and then having that not just be an internal process for our own lives, but something that can interact and engage with the world, so that change is created not just in us, but change for the better in the world. So they're big on having our minds being challenged and opened and seeing things differently, which I'm all about. I always say my favorite conversations are when my mind is changed. I want to talk to someone and have them teach me something or show me something new, give me a new perspective. That feeling when you have that happen to you is just something I love and seek out. So if this course can do that for me, yes. And already in the orientation, so much. I got new perspectives, my mind changed. It was great. And so they're big on transformative learning. So this is everyone kept repeating this, in the interview, and all the people who were part of the orientation speaking to us were always just saying how studying here is unlike any other experience anywhere else, because other places you're in a lecture theatre and they'll just download all this information into you and just talking, and then off you go. And it's often exams where you memorize things, and it's just you write down what you've memorized, and they're like, no, we don't even have exams for our particular course, because exams aren't the best way to learn, just by pure cramming and memory, that kind of stuff. But for some subjects that's great. If you need to know the bones of the body and you need to know the names of muscles and functions of the body, yes, you do need to have, there's a place for all of that. But for this particular course, where it's counselling and arts therapy, it's more suited to this transformative learning style of learning through a lived experience, learning through having a lived experience. So not just taking in information through someone talking to you or reading it, but actually going through what you're learning by living it. And I've just finished reading this book called The Midnight Library. It's a very philosophical book, very good book, I recommend it. And it kind of has the same vibe to it, that you learn through living. You have to go through something first to be able to know what that's like. You can't just have someone tell you, oh, this and this. You have to experience it for yourself to know, oh, right. Case in point, people always used to tell me, oh, your enter score doesn't matter and where you go to uni doesn't matter. When I was in year 12, that was the biggest stress of all of our lives. I got to get this score and I got to study hard and I got to get to this uni. It's going to determine the rest of my life where I go. And every person who had, finished school was telling me, no, it's not going to determine the rest of your life. Chill out. But to me, I'm like, no, it is going to determine the rest of my life. This is a big deal. But having gone through uni and life, I've now lived the experience, and I know, yes, they were right. This does not determine the rest of your life. My enter score didn't determine the rest of my life. My last year of high school did not determine the rest of my life. The course that I took did definitely not determine the rest of my life. But having people tell me that didn't make a dent. It didn't make a difference. I had to live it and have a lived experience of that to learn it. So that's just a kind of example of that with that. And so, yeah, it's learning through having a lived experience and then being able to use our lived experience to help other people. And because at this institution, at this institute, they only teach education and therapy courses. So I can see why they're big on transformative learning, because this is how we're learning, we're teaching, and, amazing. Anyway, so right there, I'm loving that. I'm loving that kind of learning, and I always have. I've been always big on not just learning something, information, which I love. I really do love that whole taking in of knowledge and, that kind of thing. But what I really love, taking it to the next level, is taking that knowledge and applying it in our lives and seeing change in our lives. Now that's great. And if this institute is all about that, then I'm like, yes, we're on board. We're on the same page. I like this. And then I want to kind of look at this question of what is therapy, and then what is art therapy. And so, yeah, it was really cool. We met with our head of school for one of the sessions, and so in that session it was like talking about therapy in general, and then we split off into groups, and so we went and met with our lecturers and people who were in charge of the arts therapy school, and so that's where we talked more about, what is art therapy in particular. So I'm going to share what really helped me or really struck me from both of those sessions. So the first one, what is therapy? And this is just, obviously I'm not going to cover everything about what is therapy, but I'm just going to cover one thing in particular that really struck me and stuck out to me. And it's this idea of essentially what therapy is organizing our mind, organizing the mind. So let me talk about this concept of organization of the mind. This idea that when a person comes to therapy, their mind is disorganized, that it's chaotic, that it's scrambled, that their life might feel, they don't know what's in their head, they don't know what they think or feel, they don't know what step to take, they don't know what direction their life is going, and they just need a bit of help to clarify what's, their body, what's going on in their thoughts and their feelings and their mind. And so, yeah, I love this idea of this organization of the mind, that it's putting into words and articulating something that we kind of already know, but then we can now see it better and have this different perspective of it. And obviously this isn't going to be the be all and end all of what is therapy, but for me it really helped to put it into a language, into words that, yeah, it just makes me see it in such a new, wonderful way. And I guess it's just a metaphor or an analogy, a way of seeing it. You could use other words, you can use other terminology to describe what is therapy, what is happening in therapy, but I love this particular one of the organization of the mind. So yeah, when in therapy, the therapist holds this safe space for the client who has a disorganized, messy, chaotic mind, and the therapist needs to have an organized mind to be able to hold this safe space for someone else when their mind is disorganized. Because if there's two disorganized minds together, they're not going to be able to help become an organized mind, if that makes sense. So, and this is where another concept came into play that really helped me with terminology for it. So this idea of when something comes up, like the client might say something that triggers you and brings up your own traumas, or something is just brought up in your life, and all of a sudden your heart rate is racing, and your mind is starting to get scrambled, and you're becoming disorganized in your mind. And so Kirk often talks about this on the Psychology in Seattle podcast, about how you got to still be there for your client. You just can't wander off in your mind and be all crazy and chaotic in your mind. You need to put that aside, separate, sort of compartmentalize that, so that you can still be there for your client and care for them and attune to them. And so the way that these guys were saying it was to put it in the supervisor box. When you become aware that your mind is becoming triggered and you're activated, that you're becoming deregulated, to put that aside in the supervisor box, so that you can then, after the session is over, contact your supervisor and just say, hey, this happened, and then you deal with it there in your own separate thing there. And so holding this safe space for the client where your mind is organized, so that you can help them bring order to their mind. So I love that idea, this metaphor, I guess, of therapy is helping someone organize their mind. Yes, to know their own mind, to understand their mind, to understand what they're thinking and feeling, to be able to articulate that and communicate that, which then helps to bring clarity and helps to bring guidance and direction in their lives. And yeah, so I find that for me, I've lived that myself. I've just never used those words to describe it, but that's exactly what it was for when I write or when I draw. That's me getting the clutter out of my mind. When I put my thoughts on a page, it's like, oh, now I know what I'm thinking. When if I draw a picture, it's like, now I know what I'm feeling. And all of a sudden my mind is more organized than it was before, and I feel better. And that's part of the healing. And yeah, I don't know, just such a simple way of phrasing it. Therapy is organizing the mind. And then some other little tips that I learned here, like how therapy, people think it's where therapy is something that's done to someone, but therapy is actually something that you do with someone. So the therapist is doing therapy with the client, not to them. It's a journey. It's you're doing it together. I love that. Like, you're walking alongside the person, and getting to know their lived experience, and or you're on that journey together, if that makes sense. And another way they put it was, therapy is like sitting around someone else's campfire. So you're not there to share your stories, and you're there to drop into someone else's lived experience. It's all about attuning to them, listening to them, understanding them, getting to know who they are, how they see the world, their thoughts and feelings, and you're just sitting around their campfire. And I love that idea of how when you're with one client, you're sitting around their campfire, and then when you're with another client, you get up and you walk over and you sit at their campfire, and you're just there at their campfire. And I love that idea. Anyway, and this other idea that therapy isn't about explaining people, it's about understanding people. And this kind of idea, like, people don't want to be explained, they want to be understood at the heart of it. And that's something that I need to be aware of, because I tend to be someone who wants to explain things. And there is a place for explaining, of course. For me, I like to have things explained to me, because that way I can, that organizes my mind. Like, I can now see it, I can understand it better. But that's the thing, that explaining leads to the more understanding. The heart of it is the understanding. But I know, like, some people don't, it can have, like, for me, I love the explanation, but for some people the explanation is like, no, I'm really averse to that. But I think, everyone at the heart just wants to be at the very heart understood. And for me, I have to learn, if someone's going through something, they don't want me to be there. Oh, well, this is why you're going through this, and this is why you're having those thoughts, and this is why you're thinking this, and they're like, I don't want you to tell me that. I just want you to hold my hand and understand my pain and just be there for me. I'm like, okay. So that's something I need to be aware of, because I can, if someone's struggling or in pain, I can just be like, oh, well, this is why, and this is this, and this is the process, and here's the theory behind this, and it's just not helpful. They're just like, no, you're making it worse, and get away from me. And so I have to remind myself, no, just be in the moment, just be with them, hold their hand, give comfort, just listen to them. Don't explain them. So yeah, good thing for me to learn, and to just hold my tongue and to be aware about that for myself. Yeah, so I think that's all I wanted to share for the main points of what is therapy. Again, like that's not that's not the be all and end all or what is therapy, but I just see it as these are some words. Here is a framework. Here is a metaphor, or some images that might help you, as they have helped me, think about what therapy is. And if that's helpful, take it. If it's not, find some other words and find some other images that can help you understand what therapy is. But for me, yeah, I just found that really great. Like, it put words to what I kind of already got a sense of and had felt in my own life, and that gives me a language now to articulate when I'm communicating to others. This is how I see therapy. It's when you are able to help someone organize their mind. Like, such a simple way of phrasing it. I love that. So let me know if that resonated with you out there. Does that make sense? And does that capture anything in you, spark anything in you? Can you relate to it? Do you connect to it in any way? Do you have examples from your own life of that? But yeah, right from the bat, I could see that for me. Like, just writing my thoughts down is a way of organizing my mind, and creating art and drawing is a way that helps me to organize my mind and helps me feel better. So right there, I could really see that in practice. So then, in therapy, it's where someone else, talking to someone, having someone else with us, attuned to us, they're helping us organize our mind rather than writing, maybe. But then, cross that over with arts therapy, and you can actually use the whole journaling and art making as well. So I think I'll split up this video into two, and I will share about what is art therapy in the next video. But if you want to hear more about the interview process, actually, I'm going to film a separate video about the interview process, what questions were asked, what my answers were. If you're interested in that video, I'm going to reserve that one for my patrons, since I share a bit more vulnerably from my own personal life. So if you want to check out that video in the meantime, the link below to my Patreon is in the description box. And I'll keep continuing doing this series, some more overview videos of my art therapy journey on my channel, and then the deeper, more personal stuff I'll share over on my Patreon. So I hope you're enjoying this kind of more rambly podcast style of series. Let me know if you're liking it. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys. A big special thank you to my beautiful patrons who supported me in January. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. I can't do this without you, so thank you so much. If you would like to become a patron in February, the link will be below in the description box to my Patreon, and that's where you get access to extra videos and behind the scenes looks, personal updates, printables. The Ruby tier and higher, you get every single digital kit from my Etsy as well. And may you all journal your lives, because your story matters.